Welcome to Unfiltered. It's another Tuesday. You know what that means. Whoa, sit back. Because we're going to jump right in. Biggest story in the region this week is last night, the Red Sox ended their season with a loss to the Cleveland Indians, and Big Papi, or as you know, beloved Red Sox player, Big Papi, is done. What can you say? He's retired. We were hoping to see him in playoff action. Personally, I was hoping that the Red Sox could send him off with another ring. You know, another nice World Series ring. Didn't happen, and as happens very often, and you can almost, I think I predicted it a month ago, when the Red Sox were playing so good through the month of September, pushed themselves into first place, pushed themselves into clinching the division, and then lose 3 straight games in the playoffs. It's what always happens. Or it seems to always happen. And I don't know what it is, whether they get too cocky or what happens. But it's over and done with. And Big Papi, we salute you. We thank you for everything that you've contributed on the field and off the field for the Red Sox. You know, he was more than just a baseball player. He's also a Dunkin' Donuts TV star, but apparently he figures he's got enough money and he's done. So we're going to miss him. We can hope that the Red Sox, you know, can hold it together next year. Maybe, you know, come back stronger, come back. And again, the season is so many games, and it only takes, you know, 2 or 3, and you go from top to bottom. You know, if you're playing great and the other teams are playing horrible, you go to the top. As soon as you start playing horrible and those other teams start playing great, you fall right to the bottom. And when you've got, you know, the Red Sox had 3 games to do something, and they didn't do it. Whether it was cockiness or whatever it was. And you know, the same thing tends to happen to the Patriots, too. So all you folks that are hoping, you know, for a flawless season for the Patriots, sure, you'll get the flawless season of the Patriots, and as soon as the playoffs start, they'll lose every game. And I don't understand it. Again, there's a lot of things I don't understand. The weather, for one. The Weather Channel. In my opinion, they kind of blew it over the weekend with the whole hurricane, and they've admitted it. You know, they admitted. I saw a conversation, I believe it was yesterday. It was either yesterday or Sunday afternoon, or late Sunday afternoon, where they were talking about the fact that, yes, the Weather Channel, when a hurricane like that comes in, they concentrate on the eye. Where is the eye going to go? You know, where is that center of the storm, those highest winds on the north and northeast side of that storm? Where are those going to go? Because that's going to be the worst impact. Well, you know something? That wasn't the worst impact of this storm. I'm talking about Matthew, in case this is a repeat later on. Hurricane Matthew came up the Florida coast, barely, you know, it skirted the coast within 50 to 100 miles of the coast, up through Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, across Virginia, and we actually got a little sliver of the rain that we got on Sunday night and into Monday was from Hurricane Matthew. Where the Weather Channel blew it is they weren't looking to the periphery of the storm. They weren't looking out at the edges. As a matter of fact, I saw one interview, a lady was evacuated. She got interviewed by Jim Cantori. She was evacuated from one of the coastal cities in North Carolina. She went inland to Lumberton, North Carolina, as did a lot of people. Evacuated to Lumberton, North Carolina. And guess what? They were hauled out of their hotel rooms in Lumberton in boats because the Lumber River exceeded its banks, flooded half the damn town. And the lady said during the interview, she pointed out her car, which was underwater. She said she had been evacuated from the coast. Said that she had heard from her neighbors and her house was fine. It was just without power. So she was actually evacuated into an area that got hit worse by the effects of this storm than if she had just hunkered down, stayed in her house. Because the Weather Channel wasn't looking out in those areas. Sure, they were predicting 15 inches of rain for some places in a day. And if you're a Keene resident like I am here in Keene, New Hampshire, we know that if it rains 4 inches in a day here in Keene, half the damn town is going to be flooded on the east side. I've never actually been in a hurricane. Well, other than I think Hurricane Bob years ago that was supposed to come up through this area and kind of fizzled out as it got here. And there was a little bit of wind and a little bit of rain, but nothing, I haven't been in a big hurricane, but I've seen hurricanes. I've seen coverage of hurricanes and know that they're dangerous. And it's the entire storm. And when you watch the Weather Channel or other news agencies tracking these hurricanes, they can't tell you where that hurricane is going to go exactly over a 3-day span. But yet, they expect us to believe that they can predict what the weather is going to be in 50 years. Think about that for a minute. You're being told that climate change is science, and it's proven. But this is the same people that can't predict where a hurricane is going to go. And for the majority of the weekend, they were tracking that hurricane was going to come off the coast of North Carolina, go out into the east, to the east, into the Atlantic, and then circle back down south again. Did that happen? No, not even close. It basically hit the coast of North Carolina, kind of cut right up straight across Hatteras, went into Norfolk, straight up the coast. Out to sea, but it continued a northern track. It never went south. It never did that little hook that we kept seeing in the radar maps and the tracking maps. It never made that hook. Scientists were sure it was going to make that hook. You have to use your own brain. You have to use what you've seen in your life. And I got a little thing in my throat. I felt this way for a few days, but, it's the changing of the seasons. Everybody's getting sniffly. Everybody's getting kind of coughy because, the truth is the weather's changing And a lot of us are too stupid to put on jackets because we're trying to extend that summer. You know, you figure once you pull out those heavy winter clothes, summer's over, you know? And we don't want to give up summer that easy. So we blast out of the house in the morning on our way to work in short sleeve shirts and no jackets, jump in the car, drive to work. We're in and out of the car. And we don't get cold because you're only outside for a few minutes. You know, from the house to the car, from the car to the office, you're good. And then the afternoon is warm. So, when it's cold, dress in warm clothes. Again, it doesn't take a scientist to look at weather patterns. It just takes a little memory. And I believe in 2012, after Superstorm Sandy came up the coast, scientists were saying, this is only the beginning. There will be more and more and more storms, stronger storms, every year because of climate change, because some dude bought an extra SUV. And this is the first hurricane that's affected Florida in 17 years, if I remember the numbers on the Weather Channel, right? 17 years it's been since the east coast of Florida has been under any kind of hurricane warning. That doesn't sound like more storms to me. That sounds like less storms. And I think it's fairly arrogant of man to think that he controls the weather with things that he does. That's pretty arrogant of us to think that us little fleas here on this planet have any effect on the planet. Hell, back in the 70s, they were telling us the damn ozone layer wouldn't last until this new century came. You know? Hairspray was destroying the ozone. I think we still got an ozone layer. You know? Again, as with predicting a hurricane, all of these studies, they're projections. That's all they are. They're guesses. You could ask a meteorologist and a psychic. And it's the same thing. Sure, a meteorologist can look, oh, look at this. It started getting cold in November. And then it started getting warm in April. And then the next year, if it starts to get cold in October, it's global cooling. Because, oh my God, it's getting colder earlier. Every year is different. It's weather patterns. Somebody actually said to me the other day, I was out trying to get some foliage pictures around the area. Somebody said to me, does it seem like the trees are changing early this year? What does that even mean? The trees change when they're supposed to change. The trees know when to change. And FYI, the trees don't look at calendars. Again, arrogant humans invented a calendar. And we base our our season changes on position of the sun, position of the earth. It's not based on anything really. Again, it's our arrogance that thinks that, when we say fall is on, actually fall starts September. Oh, let me figure it out. December, June, September is when fall starts. December is when winter starts. December 21st. But that's not to say that maybe it might not be warm. A lot of things go into whether it's going to be warm or whether it's going to be cold. A lot of factors. And we don't control any of them. Just saying. So the weather this weekend has probably been one of the big stories. I find it hard to turn away from the Weather Channel because nature is a monster, and at the same time, it's cool, to watch the power of the ocean take down a man-made pier, and then to think that, we can have any type of control over that strikes me as, man, we give ourselves way too much credit. A lot of people evacuated. Florida, North Carolina, there was like millions of people evacuated. But apparently, I guess, power companies were ready. And again, we look at all this and we listen to the government tell us, evacuate, evacuate, evacuate. 100 years ago, you wouldn't even get a warning that there was a hurricane coming in. It would just be there. The clouds would come in, you'd look in the sky, you'd see, big storm coming. And there, back before there was the National Weather Service, before there was, radar maps and things like that, and airplanes that can fly into the hurricanes, people had no clue. When the water starts to rise, you go upstairs or you go up the hill. Yeah, there were a lot more deaths back then due to storms, simply because of lack of advanced notice. Even when we do get advanced notice, like when Katrina struck, we still have deaths. We still have, horrible things happening because of the weather. All right. Geez, what else went on? Oh yeah, there was a debate, if that's what you want to call it. Again, this political thing's been going on for so long. It's been so divisive. I heard this morning on the local radio, they were talking about how friendships and families are actually being separated by this whole mess. And I'm not going to talk about it here on Unfiltered. I've got some stuff to say, but I've been asked this week to join Dave Richards on This Week, which will air tomorrow night. And I'm sure he's going to want to talk about the debate. So I'm going to save all my good stuff for him. But it just, it blows my mind that one side says that the other side is disrespectful for women when, you can look at it, both sides, Yeah, Donald Trump has said a bunch of stuff. Bill Clinton didn't say anything, but he did a lot of stuff. Let's just put it this way. I wouldn't want to smoke any of his cigars. Yeah, that was a jab, in case you didn't realize it. The fact is, we know that men are dogs. We have for years. Ages. Since the beginning of time. Since, the picture of the caveman dragging his woman around by the hair. There are roles. Men are supposed to be big and brave and the protectors and top. Women are supposed to be the homemakers. It's nature. It's nature. And the government is trying to change human nature. I saw a great Facebook post about the outrage to what Donald Trump had said, about women. Donald Trump, during the debate, said it was locker room talk. The problem is, there's not a man in this country that will admit that he's ever talked that way. Why? Easy. Because if he did, we'd all be sleeping on the couch. Exactly. Howard Stern, for one thing, he's huge. He made his career out of bashing women, bashing anybody who was different. Let's look at 50 Shades of Grey. New York Times bestseller or whatever. Oprah Book Club. I didn't read it. But from what I understand, millions of women did. And they loved it. And in case you're not really sure about what 50 Shades of Grey is, it's a book about bondage and discipline and sexual perversions. Best seller. Turn on the TV. And not just TV shows, let's talk about advertising. Again, another TV show that became huge was Mad Men. That was an inside look at the advertising agencies of the, I believe, 30s, 40s, 50s, and that era, when everything was sex. That was, the age when men just took women if they wanted to. There's a disconnect. There's a Put it this way. Women tend to be drawn to bad boys. Don't poof me, because you know it's true. You know it's true. We spend our formidable years, high school, from puberty. The main goal of a man is to land a woman. You know, that's it. That's our life, you know? Guys fight over women, you know? And when two guys fight over a woman, the woman doesn't pick the loser of the fight generally. She picks the stronger and more dominant of the two. It's psychological, it's human nature. It's animal nature. That's it. Yeah. Women don't want nice guys. Women want guys who treat them like crap for some reason. Just saying. Just saying. Wow, did I blow through half an hour already? I guess I did. I'm almost out of time. Doesn't seem like I've really talked about a whole lot today, but you know, you had nothing to do with this half hour anyway. And neither did I, apparently. So, think for yourself. You know, don't listen to what politicians want you to think. Think for yourself, make your own decisions, and you know something? Live truthfully with yourself. That's what it all comes down to. And there's not a man out there who can tell me he's never said some of the things that Donald Trump has said. Words are words, actions are actions. Plain and simple, we've been fighting that fight forever. It's called freedom of speech. It's not called freedom of action. Think of all the sex on TV. Think of all the things you buy because there was a beautiful big-breasted woman on TV. You just have to look at our culture. When we're dressing up little tiny kids as princesses and parading them around, that's objectifying and sexualizing our kids at very young ages, and we eat it up. Remember that. That's all my time. I'm Rick Blood. This is Unfiltered. Peace.